Hey everybody, it's Dustin over at Geekmatics, and today we are going to go over the Tristar Testers and kind of compare them and go over them, how to use them, what the results mean, how to read the results, all of that good stuff. I want to make this video because I see a lot of people talking about the Tristar Tester, kind of all of them in a negative way and say, hey, they're not accurate, they don't give you the proper results, and all of that good stuff. And I can see where those people are coming from, but I believe it's coming from where they don't quite understand how it works, right? So there's, just to go over that, there's like roughly 36 pins on a Tristar and more on a Hydra, 50 something. I'm not exactly sure the number on that one. And there's only 6 that actually lead to the charging ports, right? And that's how all of these devices, they all plug in through the lightning port, okay? So if there's not a line from the lightning port to that pad or that pin, or that line, then of course it's not going to be able to test that. So if your problem is on, the other 30 lines, then it's going to say pass or it's okay. And that's one thing I want to say. Just because these tests pass doesn't mean that's not your issue. But if they fail, it means it is your issue. So, all right, guys, which brings me to my next point, which is the speed of these devices. These are very fast tests to run. You can literally hook them up to the phone right in front of the client. 30 to 45 seconds later, you have a result. Now, speaking of the results here, this is what we have. Okay, so these things are 100% accurate for the things that they test, right? With some exceptions, and I'll get into those shortly. Okay, which means it's going to test 6 lines. Each of these will test 6 lines from charging port to Tristar. Okay, it's going to test the dock flex. All right, so if these things fail, then that is your issue, okay? If these things pass, it does not mean Tristar or Hydra isn't your issue or charging port isn't your issue. It just means the things that it tested are okay, all right? So without further ado, let's see the Tristar Testers, which ones we're going to be testing, and go from there. And then we'll show you the devices that we're going to be testing as well. All right, so as you see, I'm going to have the Tristar Tester, the blue one. This is probably the most popular as of now. It's the oldest one. I think it's the first real reliable one that came out. I've used this one for over 2 years now, and I love it. I don't really have anything negative to say about this one at all. This is the ICC Pro version 1. Then we have the ICC Pro version 2. And as we get into, you'll know why they made a version 2, and this one is 100% better, and we will get in all the details as we're going over this one. So the next one we will go over is the ICC version 2, and then after that we have the JC programmer, the JC brand version of the Tristar Tester. It says here on the box for iPhone 5 through 11 Pro Max. And so, without further ado, let's go into the devices that we're actually going to be testing. So the first device here is going to be a known good device or a working device. It's an iPhone 7 Plus. Nothing wrong with this one, so we should get a pass on this one. We're going to test with all of these and see the results that we get. The next one here is an iPad 5 or an iPad 6. This is a known bad device. It's actually very bad. You'll see it fail right away. All right, guys, so the first one that I'm going to go over is the blue Tristar Tester. I don't have a negative thing to say about this device. This device is fantastic in every single way. I've used it for several years now. It's been great. I take it back. I do have one negative thing to say, but I'll get there. So there's 3 things that this thing tests for, right, or overall categories. It's going to check for the dock flex, the charging port. It's going to check for Tristar, and it's going to check for the battery. Okay, now the battery itself is an unreliable test. Okay, it will pass sometimes. It will say half the time it says bad or unsupported, even when the battery is completely fine. Okay, so there's 2 different testing options with this. When you turn it on, you'll notice it kind of boots up here, and then it will say quick test. I'm not sure if that's in focus for you guys. Maybe it will not get in focus at all. There it goes. Quick test. You'll see quick test and test there. Okay. The test option is it's going to do all 3 tests: dock flex, Tristar, and battery test. Quick test, it is only going to do DocFlex, and Tristar. So that's the one I recommend. As I said already, the battery test is unreliable, so there's no point in even running it. All right, so I always just do the quick test, which again just checks the DocFlex and Tristar. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to run this test on a known good, a known bad, and then kind of see how they compare. And we're going to do it for all of the devices that we have here. Okay, so we're going to start with the blue Tristar tester and go from there. And we'll switch you guys over to the hand camera. So our known good is going to be a 10S, and that has a Hydra, which we know they rarely fail. Okay, so we'll kind of put I am not sure why this camera has that effect. They're the same exact cameras. Okay, so we're going to go quick test. You'll see it's testing the DocFlex. It says okay. Now it's going to check the Tristar or Hydra chip on this model. You'll see it's moving kind of fast. Normally that means it is good. You will see as we run on our known bad that it goes a lot slower. And it says pass, okay? So it ran through those two categories, and now we know that that's Tristar, or, well, the main, it's not, let me clarify, it does not mean Tristar Hydra is good. It just means that the lines that it can test are okay. And what you'll see here is it says pass, but it also says check battery or MLB, which means the logic board, essentially. And I've seen people ask, hey, what does that mean? It's not meaning those are bad. It's just saying, hey, if you have a problem, maybe check those two things, right? So we're going to go ahead and grab our known bad. And again, do the same type of thing. Turn this back on. And you will see here, when it first turns on, and you'll see again, you see the splash screen. During this splash screen, it's actually running a quick test in the background to check Tristar. And you'll see if it comes up and it has this exclamation point there, okay, it means that the quick test has failed. So without even really running the test at this point, I can tell you that Tristar is bad, okay? Now, it always says, hey, try with a new DocFlex first, but on an iPad, the DocFlex you have to solder as well, so it's not just like an iPhone where you can just pop it in, right? So it's in my opinion, it's easier to change Tristar because normally this means Tristar is bad. So we're going to go ahead and run a quick test anyway. And we'll see it go through, and I'm not going to hold it here this time because as you'll see, it's going to take a little bit longer to run the test. And it actually starts to take longer right at the first point at 7%. It will hang at 7% for a solid like 20 or 30 seconds, it feels like. So at this point in time, when I start to realize it goes slow, and just to switch you guys over to me, when I start to realize it's going slower, I'll actually take this time to upsell the client. And what I mean by that is, you know, explain what the Tristar is and how it fails. And as we all know, it fails because they're not using a genuine charger. So I'll say, hey, this is what it is. This is how it fails. And I have an original charger. You know, this is going to cost you $120 or however much it is, depending on the model. And it's because you didn't use the right charger. You know, unfortunately, you know, the $5 chargers, they do this. So I recommend you spend a little bit more money this time. It's $20 and get the proper charger. That way you're not in here again, spending another $120 to get this fixed again, because while I do warranty my work, I'm not going to warranty this because I know you're using a bad charger. So normally they buy that charger right away, okay? And the amount of the time this test takes, as you can see, it's still at what is it, 35%, okay? So it's still not even halfway done. So you have plenty of time to explain really what Tristar is, which is the receptionist of the charging port, and how it fails, so the client has that full understanding of how it works. Okay, so that's always, it's a good upsell, right? So we'll just kind of wait for this one to finish. Any day now. There we go. Fail. Okay. Get this in focus for you guys. So as you can see, it's failed. Now, if we click more, it will actually show you the lines that have failed. Okay, so this has failed. So this is a bad Tristar, no question about it. We will get Tristar replaced in that one. And we're going to go look at all these coils sticking on here because of the magnets. Put those back in my bad pile. All right. Now we are going to move to the next tester that we have. And the next two that we have, I'm actually going to do as a group because they are essentially the same product, okay? You have the ICC Pro version 1 and the ICC Pro version 2, okay? Now, I was very, very excited when the ICC Pro was announced, and it was because that they had the ability to check main, or had that extra feature to check VCC main, okay? And again, it's very easy to check main, just like it's very easy to check TriStar, but it's just the convenience of having a tool that does it and does it right in front of the customer. That way I can quote for the customer, hey, you have a short on main, this is how much it is to fix, all right? Now, so I was very excited about that feature. Now, we are going to do these as a group, but I'm going to just kind of go over them. You know, we're not going to run all the tests for both because essentially the testing process part of this is the same. They're very similar when it comes to the testing part, right? Now, where they are very different is in a couple of things, right? So the first one is the first main difference is going to be the housing. Okay, you can see on the version 1, you have this 3D printed kind of plastic here, and the back just kind of snaps off. Now my back is partially broken, and that's my fault because I constantly have to pop it off to charge it up, okay? And I will go over what I mean in there in just a minute. It's kind of one of the major flaws in version 1 and that they fixed in version 2. So we'll pop that back on for a second. And now and so on the version 2 though, on the housing, you have this nice aluminum housing. It's very sturdy. It's fantastic. Okay, I like that much better. And the problem with this 3D printed one was when you left it out in a warmer temperature, from what people were saying on Facebook, or the pictures that we were seeing on Facebook, they were kind of warping and they didn't last over time. So they upgraded with the aluminum. And again, a fantastic decision, and it gives it a little bit of weight. I love the weight of it. For me anyway, it feels like the heavier the tool, the better quality. I know that's not necessarily true, but it is in this instance, so it is much better. Now, the second main difference that you're going to see between these two is the charging, okay? With version 1, it was a nightmare, okay? What would happen is I would charge this thing overnight, and then the next time I would go to use it, it would work. The next day, I use these things every day. The next day, it would be dead. And when I say dead, it's not that bad that it just died, right? You just plug it in and you're good to go, right? No, with this, what would happen is you would plug it in and it would just boot loop, right? It would just, continuously loop and loop, and it wouldn't allow it to charge. Now, there was two solutions to this. One was you could hold down the power button for 5 minutes and wait for it to completely deplete the battery, I guess, and then it will, or reset the charging circuit or whatever it did, and then it would allow it to charge properly, right? Well, who had time to sit here and hold the button for 5 minutes? That was quite ridiculous. So what I did was I just popped the back off, and I would connect my DC power supply and charge up the battery for literally like a second or two, which would give it enough juice to kind of realize that it needed to charge and then charge properly. And that was my biggest beef with this thing, was it was such a pain to have to pop off the back and charge it before I could use it. I couldn't use it in front of a customer, which again made it useless, or it was just inconvenience. It took more time to mess with this than it would to actually check Tristar or to check main. So it was, at that point, I didn't like it at all. But they came out with version 2, which, oh my goodness, this thing is incredible. They fixed it. They fixed the charging problem. It lasts now same time as the blue Tristar tester, even longer. I never have to charge it, and when I do, I charge it for 15-20 minutes, and again, it's good to go. So they have completely fixed that. They've added they changed the body, and it's an amazing product. I really do love it. Now, one of the things that people say about this product is that the main check is unreliable. Well, they're kind of right, and let me kind of explain what I mean here. Is that with this particular unit, it works on models 8 and before. It's accurate, okay, but the problem is the battery could interfere with it, right? So if the battery is completely depleted, or is faulty or something like that, it could give a check main reading, okay? And while yes, you could just disconnect the battery, but at that time, if I have the device open to disconnect the battery, then I can simply, I could connect the DC power supply and check right then and there if main is bad. So I can't run that test in front of a client. Now, while it is great to have, if the battery isn't completely depleted, it is great to have there. But it doesn't, when I see check main on the result, I look at it with, a stink eye. I'm like, really, is this really going to be an easy repair? Or are you getting me excited for nothing? Right. So, but other than that, this thing is to par with the blue Tristar tester, which is what I've used for years. It's up to par. This one has the bad battery test. It doesn't work. It's not accurate. This one has the VCC main test. I mean, I would say the VCC main test is more accurate than the battery test, but still, the VCC main test not being 100% accurate kind of gets me there. Now, so let's go ahead and test with our known good and our known bad with this one to see what kind of things that we get. And again, with this one, what we're going to have to do is actually plug it in before, because what happens is when you press the power button, it immediately starts the testing. So unlike the blue Tristar tester where it waits for you to actually hit test or quick test, with this one, it starts testing right away. So we'll just go ahead and plug it in and hit the power button. And you'll see the tests initiating. If I can get you guys in view there. In focus, come on, focus up. There we go. And again, I don't know why this camera does that wavy thing. And the additional test is the main test. All right, so you'll see Tristar okay, VCC main okay. All right, so again, this is actually a 10S, which they even say is going to be an inaccurate result for the main. But that's what you can expect the process to look like, the speed when Tristar is okay. Now we will go to our known bad and run the same test. And I'm going to put you guys down because it's, oh, well, no, I forgot. On this one, it's a lot quicker. So this one, just like the blue Tristar tester, has a splash screen and loads a quick test right at this screen here, just kind of testing. And so once it fails, it just shows you right away, hey, it's bad, right? So right away you can tell your client, hey, your Tristar is bad. And that's absolutely why I love these tools. You cannot tell me that you can check Tristar faster than that. Okay, especially on an iPad, you got to open up that iPad. I'm gonna be able to test 100 iPads before you get that screen off. Okay, so this is a fantastic tool, such as time saver. I mean, you're still gonna have to do the repair, right? But at least you can tell your client right up front, hey, this is the issue, and that this is how much it is, and this is how long it's gonna be. All of that good stuff. Now, the last one that I have here, is the JC U2. Now, on the box, it does say it does everything for the iPhone 5 and 11 Pro Max, but it's a disappointment. Same test, or the test on the same device multiple times in a row, and I've gotten mixed results. So it is one that I just put in here because I bought and had in my drawer. I wasn't even going to include it. It was honestly just going to be a comparison between the tripod Tristar tester, the blue one, and the ICC Pro. And I just had one of this in the drawer, so I figured I'd throw it in. But just to kind of warn you guys not to spend your money on this, as it's a complete waste of money. And I'll give you a couple of reasons. The first reason here is, that I already gave you, that it's unreliable. The second reason is that the phone has to be able to power on. Okay, and you guys know your clients. What client is bringing you the phone charged up and ready to be able to turn off and on and to do a Tristar test or test? Nobody. They always bring it to you when it's completely dead, doesn't turn on at all. You would have to open the device, put in a known good battery in it to be able to run this test, which completely a waste of time. So I don't like this test, but we will run through it just so you guys can see how it works and all that good stuff. So let's get started. Another thing with this one is, as I switch over to hand camera, is it doesn't have an internal battery. So I have to plug a lightning adapter into it on this side. And let's see, is this one still charged? So it says, if you click this left button over here, it will give you instructions pretty much telling you to turn the phone off and then connect it. And it says, reminder, make sure the phone is turned off. and we'll go ahead and now it's saying turn the phone on. We'll go ahead and do that. And now it will give us the test. And again, I just ran this test a little bit earlier, before I didn't hit record, and it had failed one of these lines. Okay, so again, it's different readings for different tests. And again, I'm running this on 7 Plus because it's only charged, but it would give the same kind of results there. All right, and now we will go ahead and run it on the iPad 5 or 6, wherever I hid that one at. Where did I put you? Oh wait, I can't actually, because again, the device has to be able to turn on, and that iPad does not turn on at all, even with a known good battery, as the client had already tested. So that would make this device useless. Again, I wouldn't purchase it. Alright guys, and I just wanted to show you these results. I ran it just a couple of times to make sure that it would get the mixed results, and here it is again. You have USB positive, not connected. It's an unreliable, completely waste of my money. But again, I don't hate on JC Programmer because they're a great company. They have great products. It's this particular product that. All right, guys. So if I could, make a list of 1 through 4, which one should you buy? Being number 1, which one is the absolute worst one? Number 4. I think I kind of made it clear already that the worst one, number 4, is this JC Programmer. And I'm kind of disappointed in that because honestly, JC makes fantastic products. I use their NAND programmers all the time, and they're fantastic. But honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, the dang tool is named U2 for a Tristar tester. I mean, yeah, I think the 5 has a U2, but the rest of the models are Tristar testers. So it's like the ultimate troll that I felt for. I mean, it's unfortunate because I was expecting it to be a fantastic tool, but it was not. So that would be number 4 on the absolute worst one to buy that I would not spend my money on. Now, number 3 is, of course, going to come with the ICC V1, the version 1, the one that had the 3D printed housing and the faulty battery issues or the battery issues. That would be the one that I would absolutely not recommend, or not absolutely not recommend. I mean, it's a good testing tool, but the battery thing kind of made it a waste of time. Now, number 2 and number 1 slot, I would say it's actually going to be a tie for number 1 slot, because these are both, they're really fantastic tools. They both do the job that they need to do. They both are accurate. I love them both. I have one at work, one at home, and they use them both every day, and they're fantastic. You can give them to a coworker that doesn't do board level work to help him diagnose as well. So I would say, if sometimes this one's out of stock and sometimes this one's out of stock, they're both a fantastic buy. They're both about the same amount of money, which is like 160 to 200, somewhere around there. Fantastic tools to have, and huge time savers. Okay, huge time savers. I recommended one to Jesse Cruz. I'd say about 6 months ago. He never used one. He got one and he uses it all the time. He says he really likes it. It does save him time. So another good testimony right there that I highly recommend these tools. All right, so you guys have a good day, and I hope you learned something.